My estranged father abandoned me for 19 years and never looked back. Now he's sick and broke, expecting me to care for him. But I refused. I, a 29 female, grew up in a household where my mom was both mom and dad. My father left us when I was 10 after cheating on my mom multiple times and eventually moving in with another woman. He never paid child support or help financially, leaving my mom to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. We struggled a lot. Sometimes we didn't even know if we'd have food on the table. For years, my father made no effort to be part of my or my siblings' lives. He didn't call, visit, or even send a card for birthdays or holidays. It was like we didn't exist to him. As I got older, I built a life without him and stopped expecting anything. Recently, I got a call from my older brother, 33, who told me that our dad is now broke, sick, and living in poor conditions after his second wife left him. He's asking one of us to take him in and care for him. My brother declined because he has a family and can't take on that responsibility. He suggested I might help since I don't have kids yet. When I said no, my dad called me directly for the first time in years. He said I was ungrateful and heartless, claiming he's still my father and deserves compassion. He also tried to guilt me by saying he regrets his mistakes and wants a chance to reconnect. I told him he made his choices years ago and couldn't expect me to step in now. He called me selfish and accused me of holding on to the past. Some family members agree with him, saying it's my duty to help him because blood is blood, but I can't bring myself to forgive someone who left us to suffer when we needed him the most. Am I the idiot for refusing to take in my estranged father after what he did to my mom in the U.S. growing up? Hey, Dad, you abandoned me 19 years ago and didn't bother contacting me. I understand that you regret your mistakes, and I empathize with you. Now, please allow me to make the mistake of abandoning you too. If you are around in 19 years, we can share stories about our regrets and compare notes. Thanks, not the idiot OP. Hey, good one. I agree to take him in as soon as he has paid all his mandated child support, including interest. But at the end of the day, forgiveness and reconciliation are personal choices. You're not obligated to forgive your father or let him back into your life, especially if it compromises you. The only reason he's reaching out to reconnect is because he needs something from you. If he was healthy and still with wife number 2, he wouldn't contact you. He is, and probably always has been, a selfish user. If the rest of your family is so set on blood is blood, they can help and offer their spare bedrooms. I wholeheartedly believe that family is what you make it. Relationship dynamics trump sharing DNA. Your brother's wrong to push this on you because you don't have kids. You may not have kids yet, but you have common sense. I, 30 female, am married to my husband, Nick, 35, and we have a happy marriage. We've been together for 7 years and are currently trying for a baby. In the company where my husband works informed the employees that they will not have any parties this year because they're trying to cut costs. Some of the guys from his department decided to have something small between them. My husband asked if they could have their gathering at our place, and I said sure. I was also excited to see 2 of his colleagues because they worked with me in the past, and I wanted to catch up with them. So we hosted last weekend. My husband invited the 2 colleagues I mentioned earlier, who came with their wives, another guy who's also a good friend of ours, and one woman, Lily, who also works with them. We had a great time, and it was very nice to see my former colleagues. They told me stories from their office, and we really had fun remembering our time working together. Lily, however, was very awkward, but I assumed she was just stressed meeting new people. However, she started saying strange things. At first, she mentioned how disappointing it must be for my husband that I don't work in the same field as him because we most likely can never share anything professionally. Then she said how lucky I am to have my career while being so young. For info, I have a high management position and I work in a mostly male-dominated field. The thing is that she was seemingly nice and sweet when saying these things, but I can easily detect when people are trying to be passive-aggressive or imply things. Later on, Nick was sorting an order out in the kitchen with our friend and I was in the living room with the rest. We were having a drink and the guys were mocking my husband's habit of not paying attention during meetings. Louis then said that it's good that Nick has his work wife there to make life easy for him. I was confused and asked what a work wife was. Lily laughed and asked me how it's possible to not know what a work wife was. The other 2 wives backed me up and mentioned they'd never heard this term either. So Lily explained that a work wife is a woman who works closely with a guy, knows him very well, and helps him out at work, therefore acting as his wife. She also told me I don't need to feel insecure or jealous because there's nothing wrong with it. At that moment, I was angry, but kept my cool and responded to her, smiling, saying that I had no reason to feel insecure, since I was the legal wife and actually the only legally and morally recognized partner of my husband. I added that it seems she doesn't know my husband that well, because if she did, she'd have known that we're not the jealous type since his best friend is a girl. And I also have male friends. I think her comments rubbed everyone the wrong way, because when my husband came from the kitchen, one of the guys loudly asked him something along the lines of, "Dude, have you ever heard of work wives?" And my husband, in his own characteristic way, made a face and said, "No, what the heck is that?" After everyone left, I told my husband what had happened, and he said Lily was crazy because they weren't close and that she was in no way anything else to him other than a work colleague. And say, I truly believe my husband, and I surely know he doesn't encourage Lily to do this. But today, Nick told me that Lily had been complaining around the office, that I was rude to her while she was a guest at my house, and that I'd humiliated her in front of her colleagues. The guy who is my former colleague and who was present when this happened defended me in their office and told her that maybe she shouldn't try to stir crap in other people's homes, and that even his own wife was bothered by what she said. It's sweet that my former colleague defended me, and I appreciate it, but this caused Lily to tell their colleagues that their wives and I were jealous of her and ganged up against her. My husband and the guys have been telling people their claims are untrue, but I feel bad. So what I'm asking is, if I was really that rude to her, I know my faults, and I know I have a temper and I'm impulsive. So now I think that all this office drama could have been avoided if I'd not answered back. Am I the idiot for setting a woman straight when she claimed to be my husband's work wife? Not the idiot. Lily seems like the type that loves attention from men. She was probably intimidated that everyone's wives were there and by you the most since you have a good career and a nice house. It must have been a stark reality check for her to realize that her coworkers are not her personal little harem of men. So she tried stirring problems but got denied by everyone present. Now she's lobbying for attention and sympathy from the coworkers who weren't there. She isn't a work wife. She's seeking attention inappropriately. However, she should limit her attention seeking to men who are single. Every time I've heard the term work wife or work husband being used in the workplace, there was always something underlying going on. Flirting and boundaries, but they will claim nothing physical is happening. Only used by sleazy people, in my opinion. Heard a lady giving herself the work wife title to a guy at my work and got an immediate, we just worked together from the guy. Good on him. Given Lily's reaction, I'd suggest that hubby gets in front of the Lily drama show and email HR. You know very well that when she continues to be ignored or put in her place, she will cry wolf. He should tell HR he and Lily ran into an issue at a party they attended outside the office. She's taken offense to something a non-coworker said and is now making it a problem at work. I hope it doesn't go that far. But it's better to have the real story out there before she has a chance to spin it. My husband, 31, and I, 33, female, randomly talked about our future living situation. We currently own our home in a small rural town. Keep in mind that my parents are alive and well, hopefully for a very long time, and this is all future talk. I grew up on a hobby farm located on a couple hundred acres, the majority of which pays for itself as the government pays us to keep it undeveloped. When my parents passed, they've said that the land would be divided between myself and my two siblings. The issue comes when I mention that it's nice to have the flexibility of having paid off land if we want to build there someday or leave it and let our family hunt it, etc. My husband immediately got defensive and said he would never live in my hometown. I reassured him he would never have to. We just leave our piece to our kids. It's no big deal. He started getting a bit heated and repeating that we'd never live there, so we'd sell it. I immediately said that would never happen. He kept at it saying it was stupid to keep land that we weren't living on that could be used to pay for land in a place we'd want to build. I reiterated that it pays for itself. It's a zero burden on our finances to keep. And I'd never sell an acre because I grew up there and it holds sentimental value. He got heated and he implied it was a joint decision. I reminded him that inheritance is not a marital asset. It's mine alone and would then go to our children. I also have grandparents who own miles around the land, which could potentially be included, so selling any of it makes zero sense when it could be a great asset later used by our children, nieces and nephews. Needless to say, he's irritated with me and we aren't speaking currently. Personally, the decision isn't up for discussion. It's my choice. If it were inherited money, I'd use it for the family and we'd decide more as a team. However, am I the idiot for not entertaining the idea? Wow. So he thinks he gets to decide you're never living on it. What should you do with it? He sounds pretty entitled to something you don't even have yet and won't for a very long time. Not the idiot. I would set up a will or trust. It doesn't matter how old you are if you die before him. There go your wishes. Exactly, he's completely out of line. It's her inheritance, it's not his to decide. He's acting entitled and disrespectful. The sentimental value is huge. He doesn't get that. He needs a serious reality check. He's being incredibly unreasonable. He should apologize, big time. She's right to stand her ground. Seriously, some people, everyone's the idiot here. Why are you fighting over something that may not happen for 30 years? Cross that bridge when you come to it. Also, it's not just your choice. Unless it's already been decided exactly how the land is to be split, one of your siblings could force you to buy them out or sell it all. Do you know all your finances, both of yours? The immediate danger makes me wonder if he was planning on using that money for something, and now it's not an option. So he's stressing. Any unknown debts or money trouble? Or was he excited or emotionally invested in making a big move to somewhere else? I agree. Everyone's the idiot here. And I wonder if there's an underlying issue. Update. Thank you all. I'd never sell any land. I'm incredibly headstrong and stubborn, so my mind won't ever change. My children have always been my top priority, and so has his. I think he's thinking we'll leave whatever land we buy with the money to them. And it would be the same, but it's not to me. This is the land I grew up on. The trees I climbed in, places where I buried my pets. It's not going outside the family. This was very out of character for him, so I'd say something else is maybe the root cause. Either way, I'm expecting a massive apology and explanation. In the meantime, I'll sit back confidently knowing I'm in the right. My nearly adult female aunt, 40, and cousins, tween female and young grammar schooler female, came over to our house for a visit. My cousins and my little sister, pre-tween, were playing around the house, and they were chasing each other around. I think they were playing tag. My dad, my aunt, his sister and I were drinking coffee at the kitchen table when my sister and oldest cousin ran past us. My sister was chasing after her. My aunt suddenly yelled out laughing, "Don't fall on her and squish her, Miss Trunchbull." My sister and I had just rewatched the movie Matilda a couple weeks ago, but I didn't really get the connection until my sister suddenly got quiet before going to her room in tears. I looked up the character again on my phone and it clicked. I jumped up and started yelling at my aunt, which led to a screaming match between the both of us until she grabbed her kids and left. My aunt has always been an almond mom to her daughters, always saying weird stuff that she has to keep them skinny and that she'll make sure they're models one day. She's made remarks before to my sister that she overeats. My little sister is chubby but not obese, but still chubbier than most of the kids in her class. She's gotten bullied for this before and is insecure about her weight. My aunt knew this since my sister genuinely loved her and talked to her about it before. I couldn't understand why she would say something so hurtful. I went to my sister's room and she was crying. She asked me why she couldn't be beautiful, and it broke my heart. My parents said I overreacted, but I heard them talking in their room about how disrespectful it was that my aunt said that. I'm still grounded, regardless. It's been a week since then, but my aunt called last night and basically said she won't see us until I apologize. Now my parents are urging me to say sorry. I feel like I was right to have stood up for my sister, but at the same time, so I don't want to lose connection with my cousins. I'm really confused about whether I should apologize or not, because maybe I overreacted. I just don't know. So I wasn't familiar with the character, so I looked her up. She 100 said that to be mean. I'm getting the idea that she's one of those people who believes in negative reinforcement. I feel terrible for your nieces. You are not the idiot. In my opinion, you should apologize. Right after she gives your sister a sincere apology for bullying a pre-tween. You did nothing wrong. Miss Trunchbull wasn't a villain because of how she looked. She was a villain because she was like your aunt. Good for you for standing up for your sister. Your parents failed your sister here, and shame on them for it. Don't apologize. It sets a bad example for your sister, like she's not worth standing up for. Your aunt is a big idiot. If anybody owes an apology, it's your aunt. So I, 25 female, have a roommate, Sarah, 26 female, who recently started dating this guy, Tom, 28. I cook most of my meals from scratch because I enjoy it, and it's cheaper and healthier for me. Sarah's fine with it, and occasionally I'll share leftovers with her when I make extra. No problem. Lately, though, Tom has started coming over more often, almost daily, and has been helping himself to my food. He doesn't ask or offer to contribute groceries and never says thank you. I didn't say anything at first, because I didn't want to be rude, but last week I came home to find he'd eaten an entire portion of food I prepped for my next day's lunch. I finally confronted Sarah and said I didn't appreciate Tom eating my food. She brushed it off, saying he's just comfortable here and it's not a big deal. I told her it was a big deal because I budget and plan my meals, and if he's eating my food, it throws everything off. I made it clear I wouldn't be sharing anymore and asked her to let Tom know. Fast forward to yesterday. I made a pot of chili and Tom came over while I was out. When I got back, a big chunk of it was gone. I was furious and told Sarah that this was exactly what I was talking about and it needed to stop. Sarah said I was overreacting and called me stingy for not sharing food when it's just a couple of bites. Spoiler, it's not. I told her I'm not her boyfriend's chef and I don't owe him free meals. Now things are tense and Sarah's acting like I'm the bad guy here. Tom hasn't said anything directly, but I can tell Sarah told him because he's been giving me the cold shoulder. I'm starting to feel guilty, but I don't think I'm wrong for wanting boundaries here. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, period. First, stop worrying about being rude. You need to be rude. You need to tell Tom to stop being a damn mooch and that he owes you X for the food he's already stolen from you. Do not back down from this. Way too many women are raised to always be nice and don't be rude and don't make waves. Yeah, forget that crap. Stand up for yourself in no uncertain terms. He's not a mooch. He's a thief. Mooches at least ask. Sounds like Tom needs to stop being in the apartment at all. You live there and pay rent there. He doesn't. If he's making you uncomfortable, he's got to go. Sarah brushing it off and calling you stingy is her trying to guilt trip you into letting her boyfriend mooch off you, and Tom is the oldest of the three. Not by much. But at 28, I'd hope he's developed enough decency and respect not to bum food off his girlfriend's housemate. If I was Ope, there'd be a mini fridge in my room with a lock on my door. Forget Tom and forget the roommate too.